Glamour's first ever virtual festival, and we're about to be joined by our first ever virtual headliner, Ellie Goulding!
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
I'm all right. Actually, you know what? I'm more than all right. I'm very good.
You kicked off this amazing set with my new summer bop that is Power. Yes!
You know what? This song, I had no clue, what the reaction was going to be to this song. I just so wanted to release it because, it was really important to me. And I knew that my fans would appreciate it. I've got some amazing, incredible hardcore fans. I'm sure they're watching now. Hey, guys. And I just knew they'd appreciate it. And I knew they'd appreciate me bringing out a song that I was really passionate about as well.
Yeah, because why is this song and the message of it so important to you, this idea of power?
When I wrote this song, I must have been in a bit of a sassy mood. And so I think this song is kind of like embracing what is and embracing the fact that there is this little hint of narcissism now, like a sprinkling of it because of social media, and because now our thing is to put on a show and build this kind of perception of us. And literally some relationships, the beginnings of relationships, are being dictated by things like social media and the digital age. I think that's what I was thinking about when I wrote Power. And it's like, I think sometimes in a relationship, a person is not in it for the substance, but the real thing, but in it for some kind of power, some kind of power trip.
This is the first song from your next album, which is nuts, because this album has been a really long time in the making for you. And we talked about this a bit, but I think, like from speaking to you before, this album really sums up a new stage in your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, kind of an old stage in my life, but one that I feel like is something I have to carry with me forever, regardless of my relationship status, which is that you can find this really amazing new world in realizing that you are enough without someone else. It can be quite a tricky game to get into when you have to rely on someone else for your own happiness and fulfillment. And so that's honestly what most of the album's about. It's about finding these new heights of independence. And I suppose you could say, there's a feminist aspect to it, although it's more about, like, as a human being, having your own kind of power and realizing that you can have people that are around you that support your happiness, but ultimately you need to be your own happiness.
Because when we were talking before, you've been on a real confidence roller coaster, haven't you?
Yeah.
So kind of, and I said to you in the interview, I think the you 10 years ago would actually come up to the you now and give you the biggest hug and be like, I'm so proud of you. What have been some turning points in that for you?
Well, in my self-discovery
journey, yeah.
I think when tour ended, I was suddenly hit very hard in the face with reality and what real life was, which I felt like I didn't really have until I came home. I saw my friends and my family, and I just got into what I thought was actual living, as opposed to just temporariness of hotel rooms and touring and playing on stage every night and having that massive high and then coming off stage and being lonely and yeah, so that kind of crazy roller coaster. So I think it took me getting off tour, having a break. I didn't release music for a little bit, and I just had to be a human being again. And then obviously I met my husband, and yeah, that was the biggest learning curve of them all, because I didn't think I was ever gonna get married. So there you go.
Marriage in lockdown, because you were saying it's such a weird experience to go from being a newlywed to then being like pow.
It's definitely shown that we can just coexist really well, and it's fun. And sometimes we want to have our own space. Sometimes we just want to be completely, locked to each other. And it's shown like a variety of different, situations of sometimes we want to be around each other and sometimes, we want our own space. But I've always been like that. So yeah, and we actually haven't argued or had any kind of clashes, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, babe, not many people can say that.
I know. He does tell me to stop singing. No, he doesn't really. Shut up. Yeah.
You're like, it's my bread and butter. Let me just.
I know.
One of the things I'm obsessed with when I do these Zoom calls is the backgrounds that everyone's got. Walk me through the keyhole moment we've got going on here. Where are we in your house?
Okay, so we're literally in my little kind of studio setup area. And so there's some musical things, aka pianos and keyboard. And then we've got some art, Miriam Pettibones in the background. They're kind of like storyboards, but they're kind of weird, but they definitely, thought provoking and make you give you some inspiration. So yeah, and that's kind of it. I mean, I don't think there's anything else going on in the background. Yeah, and then just me.
What you are doing to get yourself through lockdown? What are you doing, Ellie Goulding, to get yourself through?
Oh gosh, admittedly, I am baking a lot. I've suddenly become like a chef, like everyone else on Instagram. I'm making a lot of cakes. I find it so therapeutic to make cakes. And then I think the most useful thing that I've done is have timed sessions of things, so that when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, I want to go for a walk, but I also want to read a book, but I also want to watch that film or finish that series. So I make sure that I do an hour of each, which sounds really nerdy, but it does work because it means that you know that you've accomplished a few things in the day. I have to get inspiration, I have to read books, I have to read poems, I have to, anything that sort of triggers something in my head to enable me to write some music. So that's what I do personally. But I think it's good to stay active. I think that's very crucial.
What do you think is the thing you're going to take away from this lockdown experience once it's over?
It's definitely given me an indication of how we operate as humans. For example, when it first started, I feel like people were kind of panicking, rightfully so, because, we didn't really have any clear guidance. We didn't really know what was going on. So we were panic buying and all the things that you would do, sort of survival instinct. But then, when that settled down and when, everyone kind of came to their senses, I think everyone, really came together and have helped each other. Certainly where I live, people have really gone out of their way to help other people and help more vulnerable people and help the NHS and give that support. And so it's just sort of shown just how we work and how we navigate things and how we react to things. People have been like working really well together, being a team and just getting on with it and understanding that desperate times you have to sort of think outside the box and go a little bit further than just what you usually do. And so actually generally it's been a kind of positive experience, I think.
You've also learned a lot about your own power through exercise, haven't you?
I get a lot of messages from people saying like, how do you stay motivated? How do you do it? How do you keep training on tour and whatever? But trust me, I find it as hard as the next person to get up in the morning and want to go to the gym or go out for a run. I think I said this to you also, I literally have to force myself. I just like pick up a weight, or I go down and just do like one like press up or something, or even just a stretch or a walk. Do you know what really helps? Having an activity, having a watch which tells you how much activity. That to me has really helped. Or just like a little side note.
Side note.
I truly believe that keeping fit keeps you in check, I think.
Oh my God, for sure. And I also think a little bit positivity goes a long way. You're spreading the positivity today with that set.
Oh, good.
I can't thank you enough for being on the cover, for sharing your story with me.
For having me, so thank you. And Glamour have always supported me since the very beginning, so thank you very much.